You guys, Pete here, HVAC Greatness. So I want to talk to you about AI and what kind of tools we need to be including in our heating and air conditioning business going forward. So a lot of this obviously is unknown right now. We're learning these things. We're gonna go in with certain expectations, but reality is always different than what we think. So let me give you an example. Pardon me. Um, AI, as they say, is going to replace a lot of jobs out there, but not yours, not mine. And the reason is because what you bring on that human side can't be replaced, at least not yet. That's your experience, your knowledge, your insights. And so fundamentally, what we have to do is take what you've got and add these tools to it so that we can make you more efficient, make you more productive, make you more profitable, make your customer happier as well, right? So what I decided to do is to create a playlist. I made a video, AI HVAC and you, the other day, just like this, kind of impromptu. Now I've got a couple of notes here that I wanted to touch base on, but I'm just trying to get this information out right now because I'm working on my stuff too. I'm totally rebuilding my website. If you have a new website, that may be fine, but there's certain things that you're going to want to add to it. So the topic of today will be about the website and what we can do to better qualify your prospects and how AI can come in and do that for you. But let me finish that first statement. We're going to be making a playlist and we'll just keep adding stuff to this, especially as we start to see some of these tools that we can actually use. Now, here is a reality, and I want you to understand this. It's all got to fit. So you guys know about branding. I've talked to you about HVAC greatness. You have to have a strategy. iFix heating and air conditioning is way too broad. You don't have enough money, probably, to compete with these bigger companies, especially private equity groups that are going to market you right out of business. You need to offer something that your customers have a very specific desire for, and particularly your very, very best customers. Once you have a strategy, once you've thought through all of the elements, then you can come in and start using these different resources in order to make this thing happen. It's the same with your business. When you start putting together AI, you don't want AI to replace you. You want AI to come in and lend credibility to you and in a way that keeps you uniform or in sync with your entire marketing identity, presence, and branding identity, right? Who are you in the market? What makes you special? Because all of these tools need to reinforce that. They need to be congruent with that, which means in sync, right? The oars are rowing the boat in the same direction, not just on one side and you're going in circles. So we as heating and air guys, especially us ex-technicians, we really get focused on the work. And that's really, really important to us. And fundamentally, we neglect things that are more important to our business growth, but we don't realize it because of our perspective. And what does it do? It puts you at that plateau. You're stuck. You're stuck because you're not approaching this as a business owner, and you've got this clutter going on in your mind, and it's holding you back. You hear talk about mindset all the time. It's really important to have the right mindset, and this is true. But mindset isn't just you can do it, right? It's understanding that there's certain ways to do it better. You guys know we do a mastermind group. We have a new member come in outside of the industry, veteran, been in business and contracting for a long time, doing other things. He brings this whole fresh mindset in. His very first job, he sells a system for 3 times what the competitor would have sold it for, right? And the customer was loving him along the way. He brought a totally fresh perspective. Well, that's because he had experience and he believed in it and he had that conviction. Okay, let's go back to AI. So when you have your website, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's certain tools that your competitors are starting to use. For example, they're promoting this thing where you can get an instant estimate online, right? So you go in and you fill in how many square foot you have, what type of a house is it? Is it a townhouse or is it a two-story house, one-story house? What is it? Square footage, so on and so forth. And so it ultimately spits out a price approximation because you can't give an exact price online. But what that does well is it satisfies the itch of your consumers that are out there wanting to do their research online and get some kind of an idea. You need to consider doing that too. I know you can't do a quote on an accurate quote over the internet or over the telephone. You have to go out there, but we need to adjust to the demand of our customers. What is it that they want? And they don't want a salesman in their house. They really don't. And so we have to reinvent what that looks like. We teach the consultative sales process as well as this consultative service process, because what this is this is an expert coming into your home, lending their experience and knowledge, helping you, sitting on the same side of the table with you, working with you for this goal, and not across from you in this confrontational sales versus the customer back and forth. You're trying to sell me and you're trying to make money off of me. And so if you're going to take on a strategy like that, all of this stuff has to fit together. So let's talk about AI. I'm going to try to describe this because I haven't seen a good model of this yet. So you can, through ChatGPT, I've got the paid version because I'm learning this as well, just like everybody else. So at this date, what is this, June 3rd? I'm in the middle of probably a half dozen different AI classes so that I can understand it. Do I love this? No, I don't. But do we sit back and just let this take over and do nothing? No, we can't. And so what we're going to do is utilize the tools in the right way so that we preserve who we are, our integrity, and who we are to ourselves, not just to our customers, right? That's important. Okay, so in doing so, there's a lot of things that we can do. So you've seen the little bots that pop up down at the bottom of your website. How may I help you? Right? Everybody knows that's a chat bot, and you're in there typing, and it's kind of frustrating when you're asking it something and it clearly doesn't understand what you're talking about, right? It goes into all these different things. But when you take something like ChatGPT, even if it's the LLM, the large language model, even if it's to that level, it's going to be somewhat conversational. But what's coming is it's more of an agent. It's more an agent. I'm actually taking a course on another program that doesn't even call it agent. It calls it an android, right? So that, because that can communicate not so right, because the agents they're making a lot of mistakes. Okay, but what you can do is you take and go through a series of interactions with this particular AI. You can do this through ChatGPT, and you can basically teach it what to say. It can speak in a way that you typically speak, and you can literally create a mini version of yourself or create a unique character. Maybe it's your mascot and you're talking to this. So here we go. I come onto your website and little you pops up. Hey, I'm the owner. How can I help you? And instead of typing, the person can literally ask a question. So I'm thinking about getting a new heating and air conditioning unit. And you've got all the programming in there. All of your strategy is in there. There's a strategy to what you want this thing to do. And fundamentally, it leads your customer in a way that the experience is good. They get really good answers to their questions that are good enough to satisfy them. without locking you into some situation that you don't want to be in, like giving them a price on something you've never been out there to verify it. And so what we do is we create this strategy around that, and they're talking to this version of you or your mascot or some invented technician that you came up with. It's AI. And you literally go through and refine it. And as you go, you continue to add information to that, update it and things of this nature, and it remembers. So what if you're the first to have this is one feature, AI, there's a lot of them on your website. Now, before you run out there and just pay for that service, keep in mind this. This is what we learned about branding for heating and air conditioning. When I started doing this, it wasn't because that's what I wanted to do initially, although I love it. It was because it wasn't being done right. You can go to these branding companies and they make beautiful work, but it's not the logo that's going to get you the business. It's not the word mark. It's not just the tagline, quality heating and air from us. That's not what works. What works is you've done the psychological work behind it that only we as heating and air conditioning guys understand, and only a subset of that have actually gone deep and understand what your very best customers' pains, uncertainties, insecurities, and concerns would be regarding doing business with you because of the bad experience they've had with others. Once you've thought this through and you understand what their shared values are, then you can collectively create an identity, use all this information to create an identity that is the answer to their heating and air conditioning dreams. Okay. They just see you visibly represent what it is that they want. You can't get that by going to go down to the wrap shop and say, hey, make me a logo. It's not going to do it. Yeah, your vans look a little nicer or whatever, and that will elevate your game to some point. But when everybody else elevates theirs, you better have something deeper happening at that subconscious level. That is where AI is only as good as the person writing the prompts. And that's why we still have a job. That's why I still have a job. That's why you still have a job. And when you create your AI interaction, you don't just trust somebody to write this stuff for you. You come in and you add the data, you add the flavor, you add your strategy, you add your branding position. Just started to come. We're doing a branding session right now on Repair Bear. He's up in Yellowstone. And what is his position? Because he's multi-serviced, he's the Repair Bear. If we can't fix it, nobody can. And so his whole marketing position is around being the repair company. That's who he is. You know, what we approach this in a different way than these little heating and air conditioning contractors down the street. We have a complete solution-based whole system approach to service. For example, that's not the only strategy, right? Our guys in Vegas, he's Dr. Heat Pump. He's going to leave, he's competing with Gettle. He's competing with Fetchatech. He's competing with a bunch of companies that have a lot more money than him that do all this heating and air. So what did he do? He got a tight niche and he owns it. Do a Google search for, and this is a new website. I think it's only a couple of months old. Do a Google search for anything around heat pumps in Las Vegas. And here's a small 3-man company leading the SEO results as well as in Google Business. So anyway, those are examples. So all of this has to come together. First thing you need is a good strategy. I know you have a brand. I talked to a company the other day. Oh my gosh, guys. This was the nicest guy. He and his wife called me. Huge opportunity. They really weren't concerned about attracting new business because they had plenty of work. The worst branding I've seen in a very long time. What they could have done by just pulling back instead of focusing on that one thing that they thought they wanted, if they would have pulled back and adjusted the strategy and the branding a little bit and then went into that, the results could have been phenomenal. And we're talking about a company that is single digit net profit in and they should be making 3 times the net that they're doing. And they had some legitimate concerns on some other things, and I don't want to go into any details. But the point is that most of us think we need better advertising. We think we need better marketing. AI, I need them to get me more leads, right? And it's true, but it's who you are and how you're packaged that is going to get that customer's attention and get them to move forward. It's not just where your image is so that they'll see it. When they see it, it needs to speak to them at a deeper level, not just, hey, that's a pretty logo. I don't care how pretty your logo is. I don't care how clever your slogan is. I need this, and I don't want to deal with that. Let's say my example is, I need my grandmother's system replaced. I want it done right. I don't want her to pay for anything going forward. I don't want any repair bills to her. I don't want any maintenance bills to her. I want a solution from a company who has honesty. They're not going to be selling her stuff, and integrity. I want it done right. So if that's who I am, why should I do business with you? Unless there's something about your marketing message, it could be, or it could be your identity, your marketing message that speaks exactly to what I want. And I just made that up impromptu. Okay, so I'm just making stuff up. There's probably a better example, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. So we'll move forward with AI. Again, this is Pete riffing it, and I'm famous for doing that. I'm gonna try to get a little bit tighter on my message. Matter of fact, I didn't even touch on any of these notes because it really doesn't matter. What we're doing is we're taking our identity and we're reverse engineering that based on our best customers and what they want, what they need, what they hate, what they don't want to deal with. So we create a customer journey that starts from the very beginning at attracting them. They come to our website, and now they have this mini version of you, mini me, right? They have a mini version of you talking to them, winning them over. They literally can copy your voice. After you speak a while, it can pick up your rhythm, it can pick up your accent, and it can speak to your customers in that local flavor so that they get to know you before you even come out. Imagine that. They've been speaking to you online and you actually show up in their house speaking the exact same way. It's going to be pretty mind-boggling. So that's an example of how you could do it. Maybe you want to do yours differently. But here's the thing. Customers have different wants these days. And you need to be able to address that. Here's one last example before I close out. You need to customize their customer journey. Some people like to communicate this way. Others like to communicate that way. Are you forcing everybody to communicate your way, or do you have multiple options based on the way that your systems work? Maybe I prefer text message. I don't want you calling me. Maybe I prefer an email. Maybe I prefer a chat. Maybe I prefer voice messages. Maybe I prefer, you name it. Okay. And so if you have multiple options and your customer initiates that, and you confirm, hey, is this the best way to communicate with you? We'll just chat, or do you prefer, a phone call or something else? No, this is great, and the system stays on there. Another example of how to customize the customer's journey and experience with you, so that you continually give them more and more and more of they want, and at the same time avoiding desperately saying or doing or creating a situation where the customer doesn't like that thing, right? You want to give them all the reasons in the world to do business with you, and avoid at all costs any reasons for them not to do business with you. As we live in smarter times, it requires smarter solutions, and it requires smarter business people. It's not enough to be the best at turning those wrenches anymore. You're going to have to be businessmen and women. You're going to have a strategy. And you're going to need to get some help. Don't try to do this yourself, because it will come up halfway. Half-ass. All right, I said it. You guys know me, right? So you know what I'm saying? You don't, if you take the time and do it right, it's going to be nice. You don't need to be a perfectionist. It doesn't have to be perfect. But if there's somebody in your area that's really good at this one thing, Don't do it yourself. Pay them. Your time's better spent doing other things at some point in your business. Okay. So Pete here to encourage you. We're going to continue looking at AI, all the different insights, all the different technologies, and we'll have this podcast. Sorry, we'll have this playlist continue so that we'll continue to add to this. And for those of you who are watching this later, this may be an aged video, so just fast forward to the next one until you get caught up to where you are. Pete Ramsey here, HVAC Greatness. I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye-bye.